Hello, good evening and welcome. This is UPfront. My name is Raymond Aqua. Today, some 36 years ago, the Association of Recognized Professional Bodies issued a statement. The statement was to show their disgust against the killing of 3 judges and a retired army major in the Republic of Ghana. A man who was very active, very prominent, and actually led a grouping, especially from the Ghana Bar Association, is my guest as we prepare towards the premiering of a very important special assignment on crimes that shook the nation and put the spotlight on who killed the judges. I'll tell you more about my guest after this break. Welcome back. This is UPfront. My name is Raymond Aqua, and as I did tell you earlier on, today we're focusing on something very important. And I'm sure by now you know that this is the month that the all-important special assignment on crimes that shook the nation, which is 2 parts. The very first part that's supposed to concentrate on who killed the judges in 1982, whether I've gotten to the actual bottom of this particular matter, and also the second part, which I'll be telling you about later on, will be happening big time in the month. Now, we'll take you back to 1982 because today was the day that the Association of Recognized Professional Bodies issued a statement. The statement was to complain about how the murder of these judges became a bigger scare on the conscience of the Ghanaian people than what happened on June 4th and the killing of some generals previously. Today, I'll talk to you about a man who knew about it all, who throughout his engagements have been very, very prominent in all of this. He's now actually a member of the Council of State. Sam Okujeto, you're welcome.
Thank you.
I mean, the other time I was reading that you've been a lawyer for more than 50 good years.
Actually, 55 years.
55 good years.
Yeah,
and he's still going strong. I mean, there are no signs that... I'm given to understand you wake up every morning and still go to the Sam Okujeto and Associates and get to do your work like you do all the time.
I do.
Where do you get the energy?
The Lord, His grace.
Well, wonderful to know that. Now, I brought in the significance of today because it all started in June 30th. And all of these happenings were surrounding the death of course, on June 30th, 1982, they had just been abducted.
Yeah.
So they were abducted. Yeah. They were subsequently killed. We found some charred remains of their bodies somewhere
on their craplings.
Yes, on their craplings and all of that. Now, let me come to this point specifically. Where were you on June 30th, 1982?
The time that the abduction took place, I was actually out of the country. I was in the U.S. and came to London. So actually, I was on the 30th of June.
Okay.
I had then called my wife just to tell her that I was in London and that I was coming back on, I think, the Monday or so. That follows. And then she said, oh, 3 judges have been abducted. And nobody knew where they were. So, hold on. We'll let you know. Then Sunday I called, and then she said Lieutenant General J. Rawlings was on the television to announce that the judges had been killed, that they found their bodies on the Accra plains. Then she said there was a long list of people which is supposed to be killed, and your name is very prominent on it, so don't come.
Okay.
So I said, well, I am the president of the Professional Bodies Association, which includes the lawyers, all lawyers. And of course, obviously the judges as well. So I didn't see how I should be hiding in London when this event has happened.
It's happening.
So I told her that I was coming on the Monday. So I came, I think I flew there on Monday, I came on Tuesday. And when I came on Tuesday, I was told that they were having a service for them at the Supreme Court on the Wednesday. So I wasn't sure what the attire was. So I dressed up, took my wig and gown in my hand, and went to the Supreme Court. And I found out that it's true, that there was the the burial service was being conducted. Then when some of my colleagues saw me, they say, "We heard you were out of the country. What are you doing here? You shouldn't be here." And I said, "Well, I am here because I thought that I should come." And so I went in and saw this pathetic story, because all these are people whom I knew.
You knew them personally?
Very well. I mean, intimately.
Not judge,
lawyer
relationship?
Intimately. In fact, Mrs. Sakodia, though, she and I actually even attended a seminar in London just a year before I came back.
I see.
I came back as when I qualified. She and I were actually at Buckingham, what's his name, Windsor. Windsor for a legal retreat.
I see.
So that's how I knew her. And then when we came into practice, it was a normal fraternal relationships. So this is the level. And then of course, I was somehow very young at the bar when I was actually in the executive. In fact, I think my third year at the bar, I became the regional secretary, deputy regional secretary, then later on, assistant national secretary.
It sounds normal.
And then acting national secretary.
It sounds abnormal to me.
Yeah, it was abnormal.
You would have been qualified to be called a junior lawyer.
Exactly.
And you being in that grouping.
Was
it that there were a few lawyers then?
Well, no. I mean, sometimes it just happened that people sometimes see you and they put more value on you than you think.
An activist even as of then.
I guess that may have been it. So you can see that from that position, I knew virtually all lawyers.
I see.
And then, of course, I appeared in virtually most of the courts in the country, so I get to know even the judges. But all of those were younger ones at the time.
Yeah, you actually talked about how you knew Justice Sarkodie.
Yes, yes.
How about Cecilia Corontinado?
No, I'm talking about Cecilia.
Cecilia Corontinado.
It's Cecilia I'm talking about.
Very good.
Yes,
So
Cecilia and I were at a seminar together.
Okay. How about Justice Sarkodie and Ejay?
Sarkodie I knew him when he was at the Attorney General's Department.
Okay.
He was actually the DPP. And then later on he was promoted to be circuit judge and then a high court judge.
Okay.
And then Ajapong.
Yeah.
Ajapong actually, Ajapong when what's his name? Achampong detained myself, William Oforiatta, what's his name? And others, Budema and others in 1978. We actually brought an action, William Oforiatta and I brought an action against the government.
I see.
And he was the judge. He was the judge who handled that case.
He was in your favor?
No. In fact, the case was not even completed when Achampong himself was overthrown.
We were in detention.
Yeah, we were in detention when he was overthrown.
Okay, so what did you do that you got into detention on that matter? And I mean, of course, you've been actively involved in the affairs of the state. Was it to do with Unigov?
No, yeah, that was the Unigov matter because, in the Unigov, I was playing two different roles. I was in the Professional Bodies Association, which went and met with Achampong in the castle with a confrontation. But I was also part of the group which included Bedema and the others who actually organized the Unigov, against the Unigov.
Okay, so you were released after...
the day he was arrested, we were released.
that's interesting to know. So Achampong's demise was your...
No, actually, when I went to James Ford, I was in James Ford. Probably was in Usherford. Mr. Bedema was in Second D. I think Professor Bohene was actually sent. I think he was sent to Wa.
Oh, I see.
And who else? I was a whole host of who were scattered.
So Eduboy was in Wa, whilst others were here.
Yeah, they just scattered us. They made sure that we are not all...
We are not together, so I can plan anything from prison.
That is true.
I see.
That is true.
I mean, it's a lot of, interesting happenings.
Yes.
It's also interesting because today is a very sad day. Today is a day that one very great man has actually died. Yes. And you knew him, right? J.H. Mensah.
I was a close friend.
Very close friend?
Close friend, very, very, very close. In fact, he was even closer to my older brother who died 2 years ago than me. But we were very close. He and I used to fight in Parliament. I mean, we argue and argue and argue. But after...
The 69 Parliament?
Yeah, 69.
I see.
But after that, the man, we became very close. Very, very. He's a great man. Brilliant. Brilliant economist. I mean, they're just incredible. Yes. Yes. People like that. It's a whole generation. I was telling people that a whole generation is passing away.
I see.
Yes.
Luckily, we still have you.
Well, for the time being, I guess.
I mean, we hope you stay a while longer, really.
Go plead with the plead with the old man for my
we want you to stay a while longer. But I'll come back to this particular point. But what's your fondest memory of J.H. Mensah?
Oh, I remember he and I had a very funny encounter once in Parliament. Actually, it was not on the floor of the House. That was the time I was the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament.
I see, 69.
Yes. Then there were allegations that some staff at the Ghana Commercial Bank were giving loans to themselves, and then later on they write it off as bad debt. So as chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, I said, no, this is serious. So I must investigate. And the Minister for Finance, who was J.H. Mensah, apparently got to hear about it. So he saw me and then he said, how can you do it? I said, do what? How can you say you're going to investigate Ghana Commercial Bank? Don't you know the effect on the economy? So I looked at him and I said, please give me a little bit of common sense. The investigation that I was thinking about was not meant to be a public inquiry. It was for my committee to investigate.
I see.
In any event, you and I, you are the Minister for Finance, but I am the chairman of protocol. Who do you think have more power than the other one?
But shouldn't he be Mr. for Finance?
No, it's not. It's the chairman of the protocol committee, because the chairman of the protocol committee has a power to oversee all the expenditure and the reports all come before him. So he's more powerful. It actually is the most powerful, one of the most powerful positions in Parliament.
Yeah. Perhaps then, but now it doesn't. Well, because rest of the Public Accounts Committee ends up on the shelf like many others.
It is sad because it can actually be effective in bringing discipline into expenditure in the country.
Yeah. So I was with you on the lack that you had with the removal of a champion, which got you some freedom. Yes. But it didn't stop activism at that particular time. You got yourself into trouble too.
Oh, serious trouble all the time. I'm always in trouble. I got into trouble because in 82, I was now elected as president of the Association of Rockland Professional.
Okay, that's
previous time I was not. I was the only member. Yeah, but this time I was the president.
Yes.
So I was the president at the time the judges were killed. And so I had to do something. So I called a press conference. I think it was at the medical school auditorium at Kolebu. And when I finished, I came out. One of the lady doctors walked to me and he says, if you are alive by tomorrow, then there is God. So there was just an automatic response from me. I didn't even think. I just say, I will be alive because there is God. So I went back to my office. Then when I was there, I was told two gentlemen wanted to speak to me. So I said they should call them. They came and they said they were from the BNI.
I see.
And then they said, the professional body is going to go on strike.
That was a question to you.
That was the question. So I just looked at them and I said, if we hear one single person is touched again, we'll bring everything in the country to a standstill. So they said, okay, they left their telephone number. So if there's any problem, I should call them. I said, okay. And they left.
That's all?
Well, that was all. But of course, other things were brewing against me.
But it didn't sound like that's the hostile, nonchalant attitude that we expected of security officers at that time.
Well, to tell you the truth, they were manipulated. That was the sad part. But they were confused because the question was that they didn't, for someone to call a press conference of that nature, because this was international press conference, that people, all the press, international press were all there to cover that event. And so they weren't sure. what was afoot. But later on, one day in my house, I heard a lot of commotion. They were breaking glass and so on.
Forgive me, before I come to the events that happened in the house, I want to know, what was this press conference? What was the crash of the press conference?
The press conference was just about the killing.
Yes.
It's to say that there has been so much hatred preached since the revolution of 31st December that this is the result of this killing, of the killing of the judges.
You connected the two events?
Yes, that indeed. It was the result of that these killings has happened. That indeed, we've heard others were being killed throughout the country.
But at that time, there had not been any official probe into it to determine whether or not indeed there was a connection like that.
No, there was no probe. I mean, the thing just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I felt that if I didn't, if the professional body did not speak out, people would take a license and they'll just continue as if it's, it's free for all. Because the three judges, we are sure they will want other judges as well, whom they thought either have given judgments against some members of the junta or connected with the junta. But when these things happen like that, a lot of young people thought that it is revolution. Sometimes I say they don't study history, because they study the history and know, for example, the revolution, the one that they are very much always shouting about, which is the Russian one. And they knew that all those who follow Stalin and the rest of them, where they all ended up, sometimes they would have been much more cautious. But they all got carried out and say, oh, it's a revolution, so let's get rid of them. Intelligentsia, they think they know more than everybody else. Let's get rid of them. These professionals, they are sabotaging the country and the economy, so let's get rid of them. These rich people, these businessmen, they are the enemies. This is the way that they were actually, the utterances that were coming out.
I see. So that's how the connection could be done then.
Yeah.
What was the response immediately to this press conference?
Well, immediately there was a little bit mute. That means nobody came to ask any question. Except, as I said, later on, I saw some people came into my house and surrounded the house. And somehow, by God's miracle, I walked out of the house.
Was it in the dead of the night?
It was very late in the night. Very, very, very late in the night.
So exactly what was they doing? I mean,
they broke in and actually came to the house.
Broke into your
house? Into the house. And then I was in my bedroom when I heard the sound. So I opened my door and then I realized that somebody was actually in front of the door. So I just
closed it
silently. Luckily for me, I had a door at the back of the bedroom.
I see.
Which is also a miracle, because when the design was made, the architect said there were too many doors on the house, and it's not part of the architecture. And I said, it's my house, and I wanted a door there, that if something should be happening inside, that could be the only way
out.
I can be out. And that day it was the only way out. So I went out from there, and when I went, I came to the side to get out of the gate, and there another one of them was on the veranda. So there was the light shone on me, and then he says, "Don't move, I'll shoot you." And then I was only in my pajamas and dressing gown, and again I didn't think, just an automatic reaction, and I said, "You dare move and I will show you." Then I walked.
That was your response?
My response. And I just walked past him. Then he screamed and said, "Captain, he's going away." Which means the captain was actually the one who was inside the house. But when I went out, I realized that the whole area was cordoned by them. So I walked. I couldn't move, because when I wanted to pass this place, there was a whistle. Somebody blew a whistle. So I continued until I got to one junction. I didn't see anybody. I passed there, went to the police station at Tesano.
To report yourself?
To report.
Were these military men?
Oh, they were soldiers. My wife actually recognized one of them later on.
They were sent specifically?
They were sent to kill.
To kill you?
Oh, yeah.
But it doesn't look like they were willing to kill you, because you had an encounter with some of them.
Yeah, but the question was that when I said, "You dare move," he must have thought that I was holding a gun.
I see.
And I had nothing. Only my mouth.
It sounds interesting. Anyway, but this happened, but along the line you were arrested.
Yes. Eventually, when Akatapori did that abortive coup, I think they used it as an opportunity to round up the game.
June 19th.
Yes. to round up the enemies as usual.
Were you involved in any way?
Oh, how could I have been involved?
Could you in any way
I
participate?
don't even know any of them.
You were in opposition to the revolution.
Exactly.
You were, to be fair, an enemy of the revolution.
Well, that was the way they were described. They were describing us as enemies of the revolution. So
but
they
by your activity, holding counter-revolutionary press conference, engaging in activities that really did not go in tandem with the motive and the mission of the revolution, that was clearly counter-revolutionary act.
Well, that's the way they want to interpret it, but I thought that I was a citizen of Ghana.
Oh, I see.
And that I have every right to speak on what I think is wrong. So they took me, and then when they locked me up in the Central Police.
So you're not in touch with Akatapori?
I don't even know him.
You were not in touch in Jua?
I don't know any of them.
You were not in touch with all the other groupies that wanted this particular...
I had no idea, because they were part of the regime.
Yes.
They were part of the regime, so how could I be...
But they had actually had differences with the Rollins and Co.
How would I even know?
It was not obvious to many?
No. I had no idea what they were doing. All I knew was that they were the revolutionaries.
So how were you arrested?
Oh, the police came to my house on Sunday morning and said the IGP wanted to see me. So they took me. In fact, we wanted to go with my car. They said no. So they took me in a car, drove me to the police headquarters, asked me to sit down. I sat down there. Then for about an hour or two, they came back and said, the IGP said he cannot see me now. So they took me to the Central Police Station. And that's the one in front of Cocoa Marketing Board. And then locked me up. The place was stinking and smelly. There was not even a place to sit.
Really?
Yeah.
How long did you stay in the police station?
I was there for 3 days. And then my friend, Professor Foley, was then the dean, the dean of the medical school, what's his name? Medical school,
Yeah.
head of the Department of Medicine. Heard about it, so he came to the police station. I said, how can they keep you here? How can the IGP ask you to be kept here? And I said, I had no idea. So I'm sure he must have gone to go and complain, because I think 2 days later when they came and removed me, they took me to, what's his name, Legon police cell.
You were not freed?
Oh, no. They took me to Legon police cell.
The first 3 days, were you informed of your crime?
Why? They don't even tell you anything. So I was in Legon police cell for I think some 10 days or so.
Not even protective custody?
Nothing. Then they removed me from Legon police cell and sent me to Usherford.
So 3 days, 10 days, and finally at Usherford?
Yeah, and I was at Usherford for almost a year.
Even within that period, you were never told what happened?
Yeah, and I was there, and then I said, it looks like they're picking up their own enemies.
I see.
And who did I see? They brought Apia Minka.
Oh, I see. The late Apia Minka.
Apia Minka. Then they brought Obey Menu. Yeah. And then later on, Kwame Piani was arrested on alleged coup plot.
I see.
And then Chief Idana, the special investigator.
Yes, JJ.
They brought him.
They were also arrested.
So I was there with all of them, and the immediate past president of the National House of Chiefs.
It sounds strange to me because I mean that's Professor Nabila.
Yes, Nabila.
He was also arrested.
I was with the cell with him.
I see.
Because you know that he was a minister under Leman.
Yes.
So after the Leman coup,
they actually arrested
him.
Now let me understand this clearly. This was a cell of great people. This were
it was
yes,
true. It's very true.
It's interesting how you guys kept together there. How were you guys treated?
Well, we were just prisoners. There were no facilities provided.
Were you given food?
With the food they bring you won't even eat it and survive. Yeah, I arranged. My wife normally cooked and sends the food to emissaries to the prison, and they will inspect it. And in fact, when he came, he was beaten mercilessly before he was brought to the prison.
Oh.
And I think he developed pneumonia.
I see.
But again, God works his own miracles. Professor Foley had given me chloroquine and also some antibiotics.
To take to the prison?
So I was giving him that. I became a doctor. I gave him the antibiotics. I shared my food with him. Use hot water to massage, his body until he recovered.
You were there with Yidana too?
Yeah, yes. Chief
I mean,
Vigilant.
he spent quality time investigating
Yes.
the killing of these
That's
judges.
right. It was just after this that this was the punishment they give to him by arresting him or locking him up.
Not because he was a spy.
No, well, that was the gimmick. They normally they will put some label on you.
So the man who investigated who killed the judges was actually deemed to be a spy later.
That's right. So they arrested him and locked him up. And then we were there when they were here. Kwame Piani was going to court on treason charges.
Oh, treason charges.
Yeah, treason.
I see.
Yeah. But then eventually they jailed them and took them to Nsawam prison.
Did he speak to you about what really happened surrounding who killed the judges?
Oh, of course. I mean, his investigation, the report was then out. Of course, they were not publishing it. Yeah, but we speak about things of that nature.
I see. Now, you spent almost a year in jail.
That is correct.
How did you get out?
Well, again, something strange happened. I think that time I used to have so much malaria because of the place was open and I wasn't well. So they took me to military hospital. And then I remember that day when I went to military hospital, they said they would detain me in the hospital. I said, okay. And then so I was detained in the hospital. And then in the night, they came and chained me to the chair. And I didn't understand why.
Even in the hospital?
In the hospital. They chained me to the chair. So I was in the chair until morning. Then I remember Captain Kudo Chikata coming to the cell because I'm sure he must have got some information about the matter. If I was even suspicious that perhaps he thought it was easier for me to be in the hospital rather than in the prison, I'm sure. I suspect that maybe he may have arranged it. So he came and he was very angry when he saw the way they was treated, and then they ordered and the chain was removed. So I was there until I don't know what happened. They gave an order for me to be released.
Still, no charges?
No charge.
So for the year that you spent in jail, nothing was told about what you had done wrong?
I only remembered that at one time they took me from Usherford to the BNI Annex. And there was a panel that was questioning me. And the chairman of the panel was Professor Kofi Awuno.
Okay.
Who was my classmate, the secondary school, from Form 2 to Form 5. And he was the chairman of the panel. And the question they were asking made no sense to me as to why the professional body was issuing statement. And I said, it's our constitutional right. In fact, I think the word I used was, I said, we were the voice of the voiceless.
I see.
That the majority of the people cannot speak, but we had to speak on their behalf. That's all, nothing more.
And that panel still did not tell you anything like personally what had happened to you and all that?
No, nothing.
We'll take a break.
They couldn't, yeah, okay.
We'll come back from this break. Okay. We'll continue understanding the legal system and how it worked in the 70s and 80s for a man who saw it all, experienced it, and has been through the process. This is UPfront. You welcome back. This is UPfront. My name is Raymond Alkwa. Our conversation today is about how the judiciary and the legal system worked way back in the time that we had the revolution, 79, 82, and who better off to have the conversation with than the man who was in charge of the Association of Recognized Professional Bodies. And the lawyer, distinguished, of course, Sam Okujato is my guest today. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you.
I mean, you showed me a copy of the statement that was released. It's an interesting one, but all standards and qualifications. You talk about the army, accountability,
right.
Talk about press freedom, you talk about so many other things connected to all of these. It was like you were spoiling for trouble.
Well, I did not look at it from that angle. I just thought that that what was going on was like a license to just do whatever people choose, and that if someone or some group like the professions do not take a stand to let them know that it is wrong, they may just continue, because as I said, there was a lot of young people who misread history and think that in a revolution just get rid of as many of the intelligentsia as possible, and then everything will change.
When you were freed from jail, did you stop pursuing these matters?
Oh, no, far from it. Far from it. I was still very active in the Professional Bodies Association. Of course, in my, I was detained, and then I was released, and then I was detained again. That means in 82 I was arrested, released in 83, and 84 I was free. Then I became a detainee again, 85. So 1 year after, I was re-arrested after the Sosodis episode in America, which again was another strange kind of event that occurred because there was a BBC, I normally it's BBC first thing in the morning, and in the news I heard that Sosodis was, I know Michael quite well, that he was arrested in America. Then just like a flash through my mind, I say, hey, maybe these people will arrest some people and use them as hostages in exchange for Sosodis. But of course I could not see myself connected somehow with that kind of event. So I went to my office that day, and I had wanted to call Justice D.F. Annan, who was a good friend of mine, to tell him that what is going on. And then Cabra called me and said, your friend Thompson was arrested. So I said, so I told him this is what occurred to me in the morning, but I cannot see Thompson being any connected with those. Or maybe perhaps they are just looking for their enemies to arrest. Then in the evening, afternoon of that period, someone came to me and said he's from the BNI, that they wanted to talk to me. That time I was doing some interview to recruit some people for a Rotary farm project we were undertaking. And then I said they should wait because I was doing the interview. If I finish, they can come and talk to me. And they came and they said the director of BNI wanted to see me. I realized it was Friday. So what for? You don't know. So I picked my telephone and called Justice D.F. Annan. When I called, the secretary answered the phone and said he was at a meeting. So I said, okay, you should tell him that there are some men here from the BNI who said that the director wanted to see me, and I just wanted to let him know. So when I put the phone down, then immediately the phone rang, and the lady came back on the line and said that Justice Annan wanted to talk to me. So I told him, I said, then he said, oh, I'm sure it's about your passport, because when they released me in the previous year, they took my passport from me.
I see.
And I complained to him, and he said, no, they have no right. That passport is a right of every citizen. Nobody has a right to get a passport. So he said, it's our passport. So I should let him know when I go to the BNI what they say. So I put the phone down. Then it dawned on me that it was Friday. But why would they call me about my passport? It makes no sense. I thought there must be something else, which is wrong. So they drove me. And then luckily, Dr. Joe Geke from Legon, who later became the paramount chief of MEPE, was one of the people helping me with the interview process.
Okay.
So he followed me to the BNI. So when we went there, Anamfuri came.
Peter
Anamfuri came to me and he said, Uncle Sam, what's going on? Then I told him, I said, this is the Sosodis news I heard in the morning. Then I heard about Tommy Thompson being arrested, and I didn't see my connection. That's why I'm here. Then he said, but we have instructions to, collect some people, and that you cannot go home.
I see.
So send a message to your family. So Dr. Jogeke volunteered to go to my house to go and tell my wife that this is what had happened. So that is how it started. So I went to the cell, and there was Tommy Thompson. So just again something strange. Then we started conversing and we say, we will not be surprised if Obemenu is brought here. And you didn't know what happened?
He was brought
on
there.
the Saturday, Obemenu was brought.
You are the usual suspects in this case. And what was, I mean, this new incident, what was really the crux of it?
Nobody knew. Because nobody questioned me. In fact, eventually they took Obemenu to Kumasi to go and search him. Then they took Tommy Thompson to Accra to his office to go and search him. And I was saying that they will not search me. I told them, I said that nobody is going to search me. Then they asked me why. And I said, because they know that I don't have anything for that they are looking for. Because I think this is only hatred.
Oh, okay.
And truly that's what happened.
Did you have any personal problem with the chairman of the PNDC then?
I don't even know him.
You do not know him?
No.
But you suggest that because of your activism and engagement?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess, you know, sometimes people grow intolerant of people who maybe hold contrary views. I guess that's what must be it. But I didn't know him.
Fast forward to, I mean, did the professional bodies believe in, for example, the SIB's work?
Of course.
You believe in it?
Yeah, because this was chaired by Justice Samuel Azukrab.
Yeah.
Somebody that I know very well. Because I told you I was very young when I was actually in the bar executive.
Yeah.
So actually, he was the Chief Justice, so I worked directly with him. So I knew him, his integrity, his openness was something which without any dispute at all.
I see.
Therefore, whatever he does, I would take it that it was the right thing.
Okay. But there are those who say that even its report, the white people on the report virtually altered the report.
Yeah, but you see, the writer of a report does not make the white paper. The people misunderstand that matter.
Yeah.
The white paper is done by the Attorney General.
I see.
And he can say he disagree or agree with whatever is in the report. So if there is any problem, no one should not talk about the report. They should talk about the Attorney General.
My question to you is, do you think we sufficiently got to the bottom of the matter of the killing of these judges?
Well, there were, yes, I think it is quite clear that many of them gave judgment against some members of the PNDC. And that would account for the way and what was done.
Yeah.
Because I think we knew about a certain number of judgments that all three of them had given,
Yeah.
which we think was, again, as we said, people get this revolution as a warped kind of thing in their head. It's like, this is the time for us to get rid of what we perceive to be enemies. And it is something that we should be talking about as a nation and people so that we can get this out of our psychic.
Okay.
This question of just hatred of someone because the person holds a different point of view from you.
It was difficult for you to do your job as a lawyer then. Was it the same for the judges, even prior to the killing of these ones?
Yeah, but you are you appear before a judge, and the judge decides the issues as presented. Nothing to do with you as a person.
But is it not possible that they were not delivering the justice which was in the interest of the state?
As I say, knowing the three people that as I know them, that's the last
judiciary. I mean, it's
well, no, we're talking about those three. It is just not possible
for them to do.
We've seen biased judges. We've seen them over the year. We've seen corrupt judges over the year. We've seen all of them. But I'm just saying that those three, it is impossible
for them to have been in any way. Yeah. Now, the question that comes up in all of this is that the judiciary certainly must have learned a lot of lessons from what happened then. But do you think that we were able to get to the bottom of the matter, establish who the real perpetrators of the crime were, who their masterminders were?
Well, that is not a matter for the judiciary. The judiciary does not have any machinery.
I get your point.
Yeah.
I was talking about as a state.
Yeah. The state, of course, the question was that when you had eventually the time, don't forget that the PNDC was there for a long time. And during the PNDC period, nobody was there to question what they do.
Yeah.
Because if you see some of the criticism that I have made in my DC, I said that they made themselves into judges into administrators, executioners, and the rest. That they were all rolled up into them. Nobody can question whatever they were doing. In fact, even if you open your mouth merely to say something contrary, you are likely to be either eliminated or alternatively locked up. Because many people were detained. Nobody knew why they were detained. Many had to escape, run away from the country into exile.
And we could not find them.
Some of them, we never even know where they are. What happened to them?
You used to carry a list of people you say vanished.
Yes.
That could not be traced.
No, these were not vanished. These were actually killed.
They were killed.
This was the list of those who were killed, not those who vanished.
Their bodies were found.
Yes, this was actually found.
How many are we looking at?
Now let's see. I did not even tabulate, but I can see here that in the Volta region we had 28.
I see.
28. In the Western region we had 28. In the Bronx region we had 12. In the Central region we had 17. In the Eastern region we had 22. In the Northern region we have 10. In the Upper region we had 12. In the Tema region we had 7. And then in the Greater Accra region we had 27.
I see.
And then in the Ashanti region we had 38.
These issues have not been resolved.
No, this was a list that I published in 28th July 1982, and nobody has been able to dispute the information contained in this.
And up to now, we still have not gotten to the bottom of it.
No.
We can't find the perpetrators.
No.
And the families have not had closure.
Well, I don't know, because I did not have any machinery to be able to get through to the people there to ask them to seek redress.
What do you think we should do to this list?
Well, you see, when they were doing this so-called reconciliation, maybe those are the time that they should have done something about this.
Was it presented?
Well, I mean, this was a public document, because this list was distributed during the funeral service that we conducted at the Supreme Court.
I see.
And this thing was distributed to the press and to everybody else at that time. So it's not a secret issue.
My point to you is that could the Reconciliation Commission have gotten to the bottom of this?
Well, perhaps they should have, if they were doing their homework well. They could have gone to find the families of some of these people like that, and perhaps suggested some compensation or something like that to them, to compensate for this, because this
was unfair.
This is unfair. It's heinous. Some of these are breadwinners of families.
Well, it's a pretty sad thing. So it's too late. You can't do anything about it.
I don't know. I mean, you are the media people. You can take it. I'm an old man now, so
I get you, and I actually appreciate that. Now, I wanted to close the chapter on what happened some time back, and maybe draw up to more recent engagements. Is the judiciary freer? Is it more prosperous? Is the judiciary? Have we said never again, forever? Mindful of what happened in the Muntie 3 case.
Well, you know, sometimes people will come out. If you recollect, the PND's General Secretary at one time said that several ways of killing a cat.
Yes.
Now, when you make statements of that nature, then of course you make some of us our blood to boil to say that what had happened. You are trying to tell the judges again to say that they have to behave in a particular way or give judgment in a particular way. Otherwise, something will happen to them. And I don't believe that as a democratic country, any of us,
we've not learned the lessons.
We have to learn our lessons to begin to appreciate, one, that it is only one country which is called Ghana.
I see.
Number two, that all of us are citizens of the country with equal rights. Nobody is superior to anybody. Even if you are holding a ministerial position today, tomorrow you may be sacked and you will come back to be on the floor like me. So all of us should be that. We should respect one another, accord each other the dignity as a citizen. That is very important. I think this is we need to inculcate it on people.
I see. It's interesting. Do you think that the judiciary has been reformed, mindful of what happened in times past?
Well, let's say that not necessarily. I guess the exposure by Anas was a very important eye-opener, because many a time we hear all this, where even lawyers will complain about a particular judge being corrupt. You find litigants who will complain about a judge being corrupt or biased. But then if you ask them for the evidence, they are scared because somebody is threatening them.
Yeah, because it's the judge who have to go to anyway.
Exactly. But at least for once, this thing has been, aired and made quite clear and public. And some of the judges have to be sacked. We didn't say that he was able to do everyone against whom allegations were being made. I don't believe that he did.
Okay.
Yes, I don't think he has a machinery to be able to carry that one through carefully.
I get you.
But we only pray that this will be a lesson to everyone who is a judge or holding a particular position. Not only judge. In fact, we see the corruption is just it has permeated the whole fabric of our society. I believe it's almost like a cancer.
Are you still on the General Legal Council?
No.
You have retired from the General Council. You have been seen as very notorious in removing lawyers from their role and suspending some of them.
That was the different role. You are talking about the disciplinary committee. I'm still there.
Committee.
Oh, I'm still there.
But recently, a court.
I'm still there.
Your decision to suspend lawyer Francis Sosu was overturned by a court.
Well, the courts, sometimes some of them don't understand. Because because the High Court purporting to be overturned the decision of the disciplinary committee, forgetting that on disciplinary committee you had actually 3 Supreme Court judges. Now, what makes the High Court judge think that he understands the issues more than Supreme Court judges who were taking the decision?
But it's not a legal procedure. If the person is supposed to go to the High Court, then
no, it's not even High Court. It's the Court of Appeal supposed to be appealed to the High Court. The appeal court. But even when the appeal court was given that power, it was the final court of the land. So technically, the decisions can only be reversed by the Supreme Court.
Supreme Court. Interesting.
So judges were assuming power which they don't have.
Wow, I've never heard this argument.
All I'm telling you that you go and check.
Because what you're saying is that the courts which are lower than the Supreme Court cannot overturn the decision. You
have to look at the who are giving this. Exactly. Because you say we are taking this. Did you sit with us? Did you know the facts as they were? What are you reversing?
I say the human rights of the person were.
The way you see the human rights now is being bombarded. I see lawyers who are stolen money, and then when they come before the disciplinary committee, then they rush to the High Court to say that human rights. And I ask them, whose human rights are you talking about? What is the person you cheated? He doesn't have a human rights.
The case in contest had to do with advertising.
Yes,
and also be reported by a client of taking some amount of money, like 50,000 from the client.
Yes, of course. But you're not supposed to advertise. It's part of the rules. It's quite clear in the rules that you're not supposed to advertise. But here you go on the line, and then you put your you dress in wig and gown, and you say you are a human rights lawyer. You act pro bono. People who are pro bono should come to you. That is advertisement. Who made you a pro bono lawyer? And then if you say pro bono, where are you collecting money from the people? Pro bono means free. Pro bono is free.
So now I'm confused. But he's been let go. He's going to practice his law.
Well, he will still get himself into more trouble. Don't worry.
It's interesting to know that, and maybe I have to. They say my time is almost.
Unless he change his psychic
about how, but he's seen as a human rights advocate.
He's not a human rights advocate.
Helping people.
He's starting to make money. Yeah.
My final question to you: there's been a recent talk about. I used to remember the MPP.
MPP.
Yes. Yeah. Because you are very vociferous. Sometimes I doubt if you're a member of the party.
No. Maybe you understand. I talk about national issues. I am not.
You are not really partisan.
I am not partisan. I'm not partisan party person. When MPP or NDC does something wrong, I talk about it. And
yes. My last question to you is that many have complained about the 275 bases that the chairman of the party, who was reaffirmed that the party's voting, actually decided to buy for the constituency. Some say that it amounts to profligacy, it was unfair, and that it's virtually like buying votes, and a lot of money is going into our politics. Do you agree? I
have no idea about that whole issue. I was actually out of the country. I came by last Tuesday.
Yeah.
And just saw the brouhaha about buses. I don't know the facts. I don't know whether he actually bought the buses. I don't know what the buses were for. I cannot understand anything about the issue, so I'm not in a position to talk about it.
Because I mean, the complaint was that a chairman of a party should not be buying buses for the constituencies.
But that's why I'm saying that I don't know.
But is it wrong in principle?
People were saying that he had arranged
with the bank
for the bank so that the constituency would take the bus and pay for it. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
So technically, it means that he actually did not buy the buses as it's been alleged.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anybody has that kind of money.
Oh, really? He says he has the money. He says
No,
he's worked very hard.
I know him very well. You couldn't have that kind of money.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, you seem to undermine his competence.
No. He's a very clever person. He's very intelligent. But I don't think he has that kind of money.
To buy these buses?
Yeah. I don't think so.
Even when he has to make a deposit of $3 million, which he says he has done.
What I'm saying is
$3
that...
million, actually. He deposited.
What you don't get the picture. What I'm saying is that I said I don't know the facts.
Yes.
But what I heard was that he had arranged for these buses to be given to the constituency so that they can run it and pay so that they have a source of income. That's what I heard.
Well, that's interesting.
But it may be so, it may be different. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll be asked to wrap up soon. My last question to you is about, I spoke to you, was it beginning of last year or end of last year, about how the state is running everything. Yeah. You are an elderly statesman. You've been there before. Are we on the right track?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. You see, when people begin to understand the level of the hole that was left there, the debts, it's incredible to see that the economy is growing at a faster rate than even before. And now this year, the IMF, everybody is projecting that Ghana may have the highest growth rate in the world. That's a miracle.
I see.
That is a miracle. And I think what we require now is rather an encouragement to the government to say that you're on the right track, speed it up, make suggestions as to this one, that one, do this, add this. For example, my suggestion would be agriculture, that improve agriculture. No, if I put more into agriculture, encourage these young men who are running around, say they are galamsey, they are crossing the Mediterranean, running to the sea, encourage them. Let's collect them and help them to acquire land, show them the kind of crops they can grow, set up a system whereby we can actually buy whatever they produce and sell on the market. Ghana is importing billions of dollars of food.
Yeah.
We should not. We have land, fertile land, good, fantastic rainfall. We can produce 2 to 3 crops a year. In many instances, we should be exporting food, not importing food. So that should be my encouragement.
Distinguished, Venerable Sam Okudzeto, I'm privileged to have you today too for another wonderful edition of UPfront. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation.
The pleasure is mine.
Well, folks, that's where we tie the nice ribbons on today's edition of UPfront. My name is Raymond Akwa. Thank you for joining us.